Hey folks, we're a little bit late this morning, but we're gonna get up and running here in a minute. Let me check my signal, and then we'll get all pistons firing here in a minute. So doing a mic check here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Mic check here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Check here, 1, 2, 3, 1. Cool. Sounds good to me. All right, cool. Beep, 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 beep. Let me get set up here to do some pop. Let me do my intro spiel here and we'll start to get back to work. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements. I publish them online for folks to enjoy. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition for the past few years. You can check down the link down below. There's links down below to various works that I've already produced. You can check that stuff out if you think it's cool. There's probably about 150 some odd illustrations among the books, as well as extensive previews for you to check out the work if you think that stuff's cool. Be welcome to jump aboard and grab some of it. It's all at a 40% discount right now, Christmas in July. And otherwise, let's see. You can follow me on Patreon, and you can also, we picked up a new subscriber at 185 now, so thanks so much, whomever, yesterday. That was awesome. We had a great session yesterday on everyone. Like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, and that way YouTube can start to try to understand that people enjoy what we're doing here. So what are we doing here? We create PDFs. Hey, Anzi, it's good to see you, my guy. We create role-playing game supplements. We design them here on stream, like you can check out on Tuesday, the design stream we're doing for Marshall's. And then we do, once the book is done, we send it off to an editor. They clean it up, they send it back. We do layouts. You can see past episodes of this and various other streams that I do to see how layout work goes. And once the layout stuff is done, we have the holes in the pages that we fill with images. We created this book cover back around episode 15 of this stream. We're already up to episode 183. So about 170 episodes ago, we started creating this book cover. So you'll see this on the DMsGuild about like that once it's finished. And other than that, we're now doing book art. So here's the equipment and ships section that we've been breaking apart here, and here's here's all the pages of the document, and we've been going through and illustrating them. So cheers to that. Right now we're working on, if you checked out the stream yesterday, or if you look at episode 182, we were looking at while we were painting this guy, we realized that we wanted to have a barbarian. So barbarians, we have these mechanics here about. You can pause the pause the feed if you want to read this at high definition, but it basically explains that instead of being required to be a spellcaster, instead of being required to be a spellcaster, you just have to basically pilot, and it's more based on pilot skill. Ability check DCs than whether you just are or aren't. And instead of being attuned to the magic item and concentrating, which would cut off a lot of classes from doing stuff, instead it maintains focus, which is like a light version of concentration. You can read mechanics here. And we were talking about the difference between major and minor helms, about how big and fast major helm makes ship go, and minor helm, how slow and small minor helm makes ship go. So minor fighter craft could use either major or minor craft, but fighter craft are like TIE fighters and X-Wings. Like a TIE fighter is like 35 feet wide, and X-Wing's 42 feet long. So they're both literally 50 feet or less in size. So all these mechanics you could play with Star Wars if you wanted to. You'd have to change the name of stuff like I don't know what they call blasters or things. I don't know what their guns are called, but you can easily replace ballistas and catapults and trebuchet with that sort of stuff. And like a Star Destroyer could do a barrage of trebuchet fire, or upscale to a larger scale weapon like gift cannons. You could scale all that stuff, but the mechanics for dogfighting are as loose and fast as starship dogfighting and uses the action economy that we're already used to in 5th edition of movement and attack actions, bonus actions, and reactions to maneuver and attack each other. So I'm gonna do this. My brain is looking at this and I'm thinking I want to have this curve down. This is a mask layer that we have on here. So if I disable the mask layer, you get all of that, which is too dark. I like this fade out effect that's going on back here to make it sort of merge into the environment around it and sync up with this sidebar box that we built. So I'm just dropping this down here, and once I finish doing, oh, I gotta set a timer. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. Ended up oversleeping. So I'm a scattered mess, and B, have very little accountability for myself this morning. So GLHF to us all. Hopefully I don't nag myself out, but so I'll just try to avoid saying anything controversial or stupid this morning. How about that? But if this doesn't work, we'll close down the document and just start it up again. And then we're going to get to work on this guy. But we had this eagle motif. We were talking about Barbarian at the helm, and if you're a totem barbarian with the eagle totem at 6th level, you can see a mile away, right? That translates when you're piloting the Spelljammer ship that you basically possess the body of the ship and can see through it at any point of view inside or outside of the ship. So your 1 mile range vision would apply to while you're piloting as well, which would allow you to spot things at greater distances than what counterparts would be able to that don't have such amazing eyes. So we were talking about that, and then we were talking about, you know, how useful raging is while you're in combat, because you can choose to there's depending on the type of material that the ship is made from, it has damage reduction, so you reduce the amount of damage that the ship takes. But a pilot can also choose to take as much damage as they want, as though, like, using the warding, like the warding bond spell, the cleric spell. It lets you take damage for the chosen person that you selected for the spell. So they take half the damage and you take half the damage. It works that way, in that, like, if your ship takes 40 points of damage and the ship only has a damage resistance of 30, you could choose to take 15 points of damage, leaving 15 points of damage for the ship, or you could take all 30 points of damage and the ship takes none because the damage resistance nulled out the first 10 points, or you could just let the 10 damage reduction affect the ship, thus reducing the score of the hit points that the ship has, reduce it by 30. And depending on what kind of craft you're using or a ship, that can add up really quickly. So you can have your characters tank the damage for the ship, and you can swap who the pilot is and do fun stuff like that. So, oops, this isn't working the way I want it to. Like that. There. But yeah, you can swap out who the pilot, and since spellcasting isn't a requirement, the Barbarian makes a great pilot. You've got the, you have melee weapons that only the pilot can use to attack with, which are great for while you're raging. Reckless attack, you could use reckless attack while you're piloting to gain advantage on your attack rolls, but all attacking ships and creatures have advantage against your ship if you do so. Fighters make great pilots because they have multiple attacks and action surge that they could use, but a fighter really does a great job as a siege commander, leading crews of siege crews to attack with siege weapons as ranged weapons. Rogues make great pilots. They can't use sneak attack. I could create a subclass that allows it. By default, rogues don't deal sneak attack. But I mean, you could if you wanted to as a DM. It doesn't. I don't think the flavor quite jives. But like a paladin can channel smites through melee attacks with the ships. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to have marshals at the helm that aren't necessarily spellcasters. But like Rogue's action economy, the Cunning Strike gives them a bonus action that they can use to dash, which they could apply to the ship. Or Hide, which could also be applied to the ship if you can find an object close enough to obscure your radar signal, or if you're trying to hide from being scanned, or as hold on, make sure that's okay. This is okay. I don't know if this is better or not. Let's be perfectly honest. I'm good with it for now. So I really want to work on the pilot. So yeah, Barbarian Pilot, completely legit. Rages while it gets a bonus to the damage. I mean, +2 is pretty minuscule when it comes to it. When it comes to, like, you know, dealing 10 to 60 points of damage with a massive prow blade, but you know, it's there. But it's the damage reduction. It's the rage with the damage reduction from piercing and slashing damage that really makes a difference. So, and then you can be warded on top of that, where, like, if you're taking, like, say 60 damage, the ship's going to tank, say, 20 of it because you're using a metal scorpion ship. That's 40 points left over. You're raging. You decide to take all 40 of that damage. It's reduced down to 20. And then you have warding bond on you from your cleric support character, so they're going to take half the damage. So you've reduced that 40 down to 20 because of your damage reduction, and then warding bond cuts it in half. You take 10, the cleric takes 10. Bob's your uncle. You've taken 60 points of damage and whittled it down to you only taking 10, and the cleric taking 10. He slaps you with the Cure Light Wounds. Keep going. So you can continue having ship combat that way, soaking damage. The ship is fine. It's your pilot who's getting torn up. So lots of hit points for your pilot as you get in higher levels and start fighting multiple ships, or even squadrons of fighter craft, or even whole fleets of ships that are going to tear your fleet apart. Like, you could create a fleet or squadrons of fighter crafts that you control as a squadron commander, or from a command deck on a ship. You can control all of the ships in a fleet to coordinate their movement, divide up your action economy and attacks between different flanking groups, or have them pool all the resources together for a single barrage. But if you do that, it really you have to start you have to, like, if you have 40 weapons that all fire at the same time, you might be able to get that one barrage off, but now you have to have each individual ship reset to coordinate the attacks, or they have to start being commanded separately because it takes time to coordinate all the ships to fire again at once, eating up your action economy. Or you break down those fleets into smaller units, like 10 apiece, and have 4 characters then oversee 10 of them each, to then get them coordinated and start doing their own individual squadron versus squadron engagements, so you can get a cloud of dogfighting going on between these two squadrons. You can then drop down into one of the single ships inside of your squadron, drop inside of that squadron's space, as though you were like a tiny creature stepping into the space of a giant creature, like a gargantuan creature. There's now all these squares that your little fightercraft can shoot and maneuver through inside of the squadron to try to seek out the squadron commander, and then dogfight him directly at a closer scale. And if you're able to ram or board them or teleport aboard, you can even zone down and scale down to the 5-foot scale, where you're on the ship of the enemy commander, inside of a dogfight, inside of a squadron, inside of a fleet, inside of an asteroid belt. So you can do any kind of Star Wars dogfight combat scene that we've seen in any of the 12 movies. 12 movies. I can simulate any of them using this system with these mechanics. I can call them whatever Star Wars ship you want, but it all works with Spelljammer, Star Wars, Mass Effect, whatever you want to do. Any kind of space combat, it works all the same if you're willing to use the damage mechanics that we offer, because the damage mechanics are key. They're not the same mechanics as in the player's handbook or Saltmarsh. They're different. Anyway, I'm really rambling. Mostly because I'm stupid geeking out about how freaking cool this book is. But one thing at a time. I'm happy with the throne. Here, let's get this guy out of the way. Here's our throne. Sky backdrop in a portal, and then we have the color bubble to help separate and merge it into the background. Here's the throne, has this eagle motif going on. There's the orbs of the control orbs that are on the ends of the seat. You can put your hands on them, and you don't have to have those. That's just the aesthetic we're using with this specific spelljamming helm. You could have a single orb if you're doing like a light skiff or like a fighter craft. You could do handlebar style if you want to do a racing ship, or you can just have a giant couch or a bathtub that you lounge on if you want to do a giant luxury freighter, yacht. Oh my God, my brain is so cooked right now. Here's the rough colors that we put down yesterday while we were doing all this. Here's the line art that goes to it, and then when we do that, we'll get highlights from the pilot having his eyes glow the same as the orbs, and highlights from the orbs casting light onto the form of the character. So that's all said and done. I'm going to leave those there. I'm going to take this and this. I'm going to just be bold and merge these together. It's only been like, what, 20 minutes? I'm now starting to actually get to work. Yeah, it's like literally been 20 minutes. I'm now actually just getting to work. I question if we're going to get this one done because I'm just not organized today. Luckily, we're back on Monday. I might just finish it off stream if I can't finish it today. So I'm going to duplicate this layer and merge it. And now it just becomes one. So now we can just start dealing with it directly. Let's work on the highest area of detail. Face. And we'll take this up to 50% opacity, 50% strength. TBD is for is for a tattoo that we're going to contemplate once we get there. Hold on, let me grab that. That's important. I don't want to lose track of that. Pilot. There we go. There. Tat. Lock. 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 Back to this guy. Yeah, we're just gonna get to work. So, yippee-ki-yay. We'll scratch this guy into existence. We did the line work. The line work's a little choppy, so I'm gonna have to scratch at it a bit. But this is what we do. We lay down line art. We do we drop in color underneath the line art. We then merge the color and the line art together, and then blend the two together into one cohesive piece. And if I had more time this morning, I could probably knock it down. I suspect this is going to take me 2 hours to complete, but I only got about 100 and I got like what, an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, I got 80 minutes left, so I doubt I'll be able to complete this, but we'll get done what we get done, and we just come back the next day and keep doing it and doing it and doing it until it's done. Just gonna close that in like that, and we should probably No, it's okay. Nasal passage to, here's my ear. And you can see it lines up with my eye, and the bottom of it lines up with my nose. So it's from my nose to the top of my eye, right? Basically is the range that we have. Pointy ears are bigger, but it's still, I want to line up. Here's the angle of the face. So I want to make sure I have that lined up, and I'm okay with the ears being a bit bigger. So yeah, I mean, it's literally in the right spot. Okay, well, it's good to check. How about that? And I did change the angle a touch. So, I mean, you know, gold star young Kearney. I'm going to push up the strength of that to 70% so it's easier for me to push pixels around. And just want to make sure I get the angle back here correct. There. So the Skrull army in 5th edition should have a ton of Barbarian Pilots, which makes them incredibly tanky. Very, very difficult to kill. Goblins are easy to kill, but goblins can do sneaky pack tactics. Well, kobolds can do sneaky pack tactics stuff. I don't know if goblins as a species have... I don't know the racial features of a goblin offhand, but... I would not be opposed to building a Skrull army supplement that makes different types of pilots dangerous in game. I am wordsmith bad, no good. With a capital derp. That's what happens when Phil no sleep. His words get derpy. That's okay. I'm pretty and I paint pretty pictures, so you can ignore what I say. There's an ASMR future waiting for my failure. But yeah, we picked up a new subscriber yesterday. That's super cool. Thank you. Anyone and everyone. We're here 6 days a week, 9 times. We stream Monday through Friday morning, just like this. Hopefully with a little bit more cohesion. And then Mondays and Thursday nights, like last night, we do cartography for Eberron. We finished. I finished, yeah, we'll just call it finished. I finished the village, the starting intro village for the Eberron adventure that I've been designing for the past year here on stream. Jesus, we're almost done. We've finished. This is the last significant, like large 50+ inch map that we had to build, and it's basically resolved at this point. There's a few nitpicky things I can be, I can mull over, but the gist of it's done. So on Mondays Mondays and Thursday nights, we do that Eberron cartography for 8th level adventure. Tuesday lunchtime, we do mechanical development, and we've been working on the martial power system to provide an alternate spellcasting system using discipline points or martial mana on a long rest for everyone except the monk, of course. A long rest mana mechanic for refreshing your resources and providing 3rd edition style exploits, maneuvers, reactions, and various strike smite powers. So you can check that out on Tuesdays. And then on Saturday morning, including tomorrow morning, we do commission work. We'll be hopefully completing the Reclamant book cover that we were commissioned to produce by Joseph Vargas, also known as Ukulele Bard. He is creating another role-playing game called Reclamant, which is about basically the spirit world and nature taking back the world from humanity during the Industrial Revolution. So it's a man versus nature and unnatural spirit sort of adventure piece, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. So I'm gonna trim this ear down a little bit. It's kind of getting away from us, kind of looking a little derp here. So let's big that up a bit. Did we, in the end, just reproduce the exact same effect? Signs point to yes, my friends. Hey, look at that, our first timer. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee and calm down a little bit and hopefully do some decent art. Maybe I obsess less over the ear right now and just focus on where I can score some victories and start pushing the pixels down the road to, to completing. I'm having a train wreck of a morning, guys. So I mean, hey, if you're still on board with me at this point, it can't get much worse. Oh, knock on wood there, buddy, because you're inviting tragedy. really just want to stick your nose in it. I don't believe in karma like that. But I'm not a karma hater either. Just because I don't believe something doesn't mean I don't get why people would believe in it and can't play along. I believe all sorts of stuff in my life. We should find a way to highlight this a little bit. Ouch. I hope this doesn't end up being one of those cool idea, poorly executed paintings. Those happen sometimes. And boy, they're a disappointment when it does. We'll just trust in the muse to be able to produce kick-ass work, and hopefully we can shut up and take a ride with her and let her show us what she was thinking of when she created this. I do like that hard edge slope though. That feels very orcish to me, so I want to preserve that in the bone structure like that. That Dragon Hazard picture that we've been working on is turning out really sick. I'll be sharing that with y'all on Monday. It's badass. Actually, if you follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, I'll post it on Twitter when it's done. And if you know where I lurk on Discords, I'll post it there too. And God's willing, if this turns out as good as I want it to, I'll post this one also for folks to take a look at. And I think I'll ultimately put all these on my Patreon for folks to be able to download if they invest, I don't know, $15 or something with me. I don't know. We'll see what the price point is, but I can just offer these as a bundle. The ships I'll have to offer for free on Patreon, and the Zeratis maps also, because of creator content free usage rights. since they're IPs and stuff, I have to basically offer them up in exchange for asking you to support me for $1, and I'll begin doing that here soon. Not today, but soon. And once I do, I'll start letting folks know that I've started publishing that stuff that way. And then once all of this art is done, I can offer the creature tokens, the character tokens, and all the interior art as a Patreon support level. I love doing hair like this, though. Turns out pretty good. I tell you what, man, if there's one thing I can do well, it's gruel. I'm not saying I will, but if I were to make a Ravnica supplement for Spelljammer, I would definitely divide up the guilds into different types of spaceships, like Dimir with Spidercraft, of course, and I would absolutely have to have Gruul, like with the Mammoth and Scorpion ships, like the Skrull army, basically the Skrull Armada. Simic, I'd probably do like a bunch of tentacle stuff, like Nautiloid type Leviathan craft. Totally sounds Simic to me. The Parhelion 2, the flying fortress that Boros already has, would make a great carrier ship. And since a lot of their military are just flat out fucking angels, like CR 8 to 22 angels, they could just use that as a platform to launch off through space themselves and just jet towards their target and tear them up with angelic fury. But having angelic fighter, like having Boros themed fighter, white red themed fightercraft would be cool. But also the dwarven citadels, like the giant hammers that fly through space, that's incredibly Boros. I love that idea. Don't know about Azorius. We'd have to come up with different themes, but if we do, that'd be a fun exercise. It's sad that Magic the Gathering isn't more popular of a setting for D&D, because those two IPs blend so wonderfully well, and Wizards just hasn't invested. Like, if Wizards invested into Ravnica being a setting, like second edition, like TSR invested in Planescape or Spelljammer being a setting, or like Birthright being a setting where there's like an entire box set for like black mana guilds of like Dimir, Rakdos, Orzhov, and Golgari. Thank you. God, my brain is hurting right now. But each of the 5 colors has 4 different guilds that are devoted to that color. And they could have done, like they had the Planes of Chaos for Planescape in 2nd edition. They could have, if it was TSR that was doing all this stuff, WotC wouldn't bankrupt themselves, because they actually have the resources to do that stuff. It's a fucking shame that they could actually do the TSR model of world building and have the deep pockets of Hasbro to actually pull it off, but they're gun shy about everything because they're just paranoid about their billion-dollar profit margin. It sucks that the companies that have the deepest pockets to do the coolest stuff are desperately afraid of being innovative and make the safest plays. It's so pathetic. But man, whole box sets for different guild colors, or like a box set for each guild even, would be just amazing. but that's, you know, that's what they would have. That's the kind of depth they'd have to go into, I think, to really impress anybody. And that would potentially, but again, it wouldn't guarantee a following for Boros or any MTG stuff. So it's a gamble. I recognize it. Anyway, it's the world I wish I lived in, I guess. But I'm gonna stick with that trashing corporate overlords and their stingy pockets. I think they're too snooty to consider doing Kickstarters, but Kickstarters would be an awesome way to gauge interest and make sure they aren't overcommitting print production, but also elevate the craft of kickstarting in the first place to supposedly support the community like they say they want to. I think that'd be an amazing solution. But they don't return my calls, so I don't blame them. I'm just one of 100 of fanboy geeks, I'm sure. And it doesn't hurt that, I mean, it doesn't help me that, like, they're always drunken calls at 3 o'clock in the morning while I'm crying into a bottle of vodka asking for their attention. That's not true. Corporate simping. I was supposed to not say anything controversial. Accursed fate. I am just crying over this angle here. I am really glad that I preserved this, because I feel like I'm losing it. Definitely feel like I'm losing it. Get back, Loretta. Let's try this again with feeling. I like the energy, but the angle is wrong, so actually I do need to fix it. Well, that worked out. Good for us. Picture ugly probably means your heart's ugly. Check your shit. Definitely not getting done today. I'm gonna black that in. There we go. That's better. Congratulations to anyone that stuck around this long to see me actually fixing that horrible face. My angle's wrong here. I need to fix it. That. Rid of that. To be turned. Catchphrase. That's probably actually too far back in the head. That helps a lot. Da-ba-da-ba-da. The big toothy grin of a youth knowing that he's making a difference. That's the promise of 5th edition. Heroes that are seen and make a difference. There, starting to get some synergy going in here. I'm going to darken that down a bit though. The purple glowing eyes will actually help with the anatomy a little bit there. I can cheat it a little bit easier. Not there yet, though. Thank you, Timely Timer. Helping me keep time. I should take another. Oh, I still got an hour. I'm doing it. Well, 50 minutes anyway. It was foolish for me to think that I would finish this morning. I was so enthusiastic about it yesterday. There, that's gonna help. Yeah, there we go. Now we're figuring it out. That is way better than it was the first time ago. I guess I'm waking up. I'm gonna get this all figured out. But yes, it absolutely will not be done this morning. But it honestly, I'm sure it's not taking the trifle 2 hours I had anticipated originally. I think if I was in a really strong flow state, I might be able to punch through this in 3 or 4 hours. But I am obviously not in that flow state this morning. So cheers to that. The time it takes the time it takes to look good, and honestly, I shouldn't be in a hurry. All my deadlines are my own, and the only thing that's going to happen by taking more time is that more people are going to show up and say hey. So that's pretty. Hey, what's up, Fluffy? You're somebody who showed up and said hey. I don't know how long ago that was. How long have you been hiding there? I'm having a train wreck of a morning. I am really tired, so I'm kind of ping ping pangs, jumping all over the place, but. This is the artwork that we're doing for our Spelljammer supplement. If you aren't familiar with it, we formatted it in Word. Here's our book cover for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book. And then we've done all the layouts, and we started laying in some of the pictures and graphs and charts and diagrams. We have all the This will all be on the DMs Guild. There's a slew of links down in the description down below to different DMs Guild work that I've done in the past so you can get an idea. And they're all extensive previews. This 108-page document will also have an extensive preview. You can see that we have all these little spots that we need to fill in with art still. So that's what we're in the process of doing. They're not all ridiculously in-depth like this, but this is the work that we're doing. And as we go to each page and we build out art for each of them, we talk about what's on the page. Yesterday we were talking about barbarians being pilots. So we're doing this totem barbarian character as the pilot for this ship, using an eagle motif. We were talking about the eagle totem having a 1 mile visual, being able to see things a mile away, and how useful that is when you're in space combat. So they make really, really great scouts and combatants. This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the stream, how good rage is for a pilot, and how you, depending on how your team runs their ship, you may want to have the martial character as your pilot to either tank the damage or deal more weapon, grapple, ram, and melee attacks, or to have better action economy like the rogue, have better action economy to be able to outmaneuver enemies. But it's a super fluid, very dynamic combat system using 5e mechanics in their 5e Spelljammer supplement. And the playtesting was fun as hell. My home table, and we're about to start a campaign using these mechanics from as a mining operation campaign, where they go on to they survey, pick out an asteroid that they want to mine, send in a team of adventurers to search out any threats or creatures that are hiding inside of the asteroid. And once they give themselves the all clear signal, they'll send in a mining crew of dwarves and warforged to excavate it and extract all its wealth. Like a platinum, like a patch of platinum is found in this asteroid. So we have to go in, dig through, find all the evil in all the dungeon passages before we set up a proper mining operation. And then once they do that, I'm just gonna grab color off of his hair. And then when the operations are going, they could be attacked by pirates or space creatures. So they also have to establish patrol ships to make sure that their mining site remains safe and secure during the extraction process. And once they complete the extraction process, they can spend their loot to upgrade their ships, their mining operation materials, gather new rituals to cast more complicated spells to be able to accomplish whatever their goals are, or buy like purchase peace from different, pay off different pirate clans to keep them from attacking your extractors, that sort of thing. Make a fun campaign out of it for however long the team wants to run a mining operation like that. We're at level 19. We're about level 19. They're about to hit level 19 in our time travel campaign. And once they save the world and get out of there, break their Groundhog Day time loop, return to normal time space, they'll solve they'll solve the campaign, and they'll be 20th level, and it'll be time to retire their characters and start something new. And the new thing they wanted to start was this Eberron thing. So they're welcome to change their mind if they want, but that's what we're planning towards. And all that stuff is pretty much, I'm gonna skip this over like this. All that stuff is pretty much what we're planning on having in the campaign. And it'll be in Eberron, because my Eberron campaign is a space opera where the planet is destroyed and each of the nations is on its own floating asteroid, and they use spelljamming ships or airships to move, to fly between and do merchant stuff and warfare between the different nations in space armadas. And the mechanics that we built for Spelljammer here lean into the idea of ship squadron combat and fleets of ships and large-scale combat, like smashing asteroids or moons into target locations. Lots of fun stuff we can do with these mechanics, and it's all spelled out in this book. And once the book is on the DMsGuild, you'll be able to check it out. And there's ship tokens, and we're converting Light as Araxis into these mechanics, so you can see how it actually works by playing Light as Araxis differently than how it's presented by Wizards. Like, you know, if Wizards came up with these mechanics, this is how Light as Araxis could work. You know, so you can have like fighter combat and fleet combat, and play hide and seek in an asteroid belt against Theurgy pirates, and fun stuff. Like all sorts of, just take a lot of those encounters that are in the adventure and just embellish them with high energy ship combat. So I'm here 6 days a week. Monday through Friday morning, I do more Spelljammer art until it's done. Thursday night and Monday night, we do Eberron adventure. I'm doing an undead Carnathy adventure for 8th level characters in Eberron, and we do the cartography for that until the editing is done. And once the editing is done, then we'll start doing page layouts and doing interior art, just like we're doing here, except for Eberron. And you know, there you go. So that'll become, once this book publishes, Eberron will become not our Monday, Thursday, but our Monday through Friday morning gig. On Saturday, tomorrow morning, we do commission work, and we're doing the book cover for Reclamant, the RPG being designed by Joseph Vargas, who is Ukulele Bard, for those that know him off of the DMsGuild or Pathfinder Infinite. He's a huge Pathfinder 2 advocate. So it's fun having, he actually helped me with some of the math in this book, just to make sure that everything smarts good, and it smarts super good. So big shout out and thanks to Ukulele. Proud to have him as an ally, a co-writer, and a client. Now we're starting to get to where we want to be. So we should be finishing. It's a Bob Ross painting. So I should be finishing it tomorrow morning. I should be finishing tomorrow morning. It's due on August 1st. So if by chance I misjudge the amount of time it takes to finish it, I'll also have Monday evening, instead of Eberron cartography, I'll finish that commission and then get back to normal Eberron activity on Thursday night. And then on Tuesdays we do 5e mechanical development for new books that we're creating. I'm going to start playtesting. My home table has been playtesting the martial power system that I've developed for 5th edition for barbarians, fighters, rogues, monks, paladins, rangers, to have an alternate magic list other than spells, to have like 3rd and 4th edition martial powers, to do exploits, maneuvers, reactions, skill boosts, different things to do in the combat, as well as exploration and social pillars of adventure, not just combat. So they have the same sort of, there's 140 different powers they can choose from, so you have the same broad selection process of preparing different powers that spellcasters do, so you get that same depth of character development and selection process that, you know, optimizes how your martial character operates on the team and what, you know, how you spend your daily resource of mana on these different non-spell magic effects. So you can check that out on Tuesday if you're interested. And yeah, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I'll be offering a lot of this artwork as stock art on my Patreon as soon as I figure that stuff out. I also need to build a new website so I can promote myself more, so I can start doing an email list for me to start offering a monthly e-newsletter, so I can low-key develop that into a community interest list for me to be able to start doing Kickstarters. Hopefully in 2025, maybe late 2024, I want to start doing Kickstarters for 5th edition off of the DMsGuild for 5e neutral products that I can then embellish as with 5th edition with you know, Dungeons and Dragons IP concepts on my Patreon. So like I can publish a book, and then I can talk about, you know, how this would apply to Zendrick if you're running an MTG campaign, for instance. So, a lot of stuff going on. All it takes a lot of time. We'll get it all figured out. Trust the process. This guy looks fucking great. I am very I know it takes a long time, and it's certainly taking longer than I wanted it to, but God bless the process. I'm falling in love with this picture. This is exactly where we want to be. I can't help myself. I have to show you the other one. Hold on. In the hazards chapter, we're talking about fire damage and smoke damage. So we've been working on this picture off screen. It's just a 1/8 page piece, and I'll get into the details when we get there. I just wanted to show this off this morning because of the way that the air bubbles work in the with the ships that we do. Anything that flies in wild space has its own air envelope. Dragons are no exception. And then this is about fire and smoke. So, you know, if a dragon breathes fire on the bottom of your ship and the pilot fails the saving throw, your ship can catch fire. And then it starts creating a ton of smoke, and that smoke slowly, well, or maybe quickly, fouls the air in your ship's air bubble. But creatures have air bubbles, and ships have air bubbles, as described in the Spelljammer's Adventures in Space. But when those two things bump into each other and they start entering each other's space, these little holes open up in between them. I've got a couple different illustrations in the book that shows like people falling out of gravity wells and like creating their own little soap bubble around them as they leave the atmosphere of another ship, and a lot of interaction like that. But I am just tickled pink at how well this turned out. And you'll love what this whole illustration ends up being when I'm finished with it. But I wanted just to geek out for a minute about what we have going on here. So just, I am so, because the way that gravity works, it has the gravity plane that cuts the ship in half, right? So on the bottom side of the ship, this is up, and on the top side of the ship, this is up. So if I catch the bottom of your ship on fire, it's going to, you know, smoke upward, which is going to be bottom, which is away from the ship. So you have to jump off deck and go crawl around to the underbelly of the ship to try to fight that fire and put it out. If your ship catches fire, it will poison your air atmosphere. So now you have the poison condition while you're on the ship, and if it goes on long enough or deals enough damage, it'll cause the whole ship to have the atmosphere will turn deadly, and then you're fucked. So like fire is a big issue. There's a ton of resources that characters have, including ability checks to be able to put out fires. It just uses action economy to do it. I just wanted to show that off real quick because I love how those two air bubbles bump into each other and then create these like those little portals from one portal, like one, because the bubbles are intercepting. So where they intercept, there's no separation between the bubbles. That's, you get physics, I'm sure, but the book is full of stuff like this, and I love the bubble aesthetic for the ships. I just in love with it. Just such a cool book. Such a cool book. So I'll probably finish that piece over the weekend, and we'll post that on Twitter at Phil Kearney, as well as on Discords. If you know where I lurk, you'll be able to find it there too. But there's a ton of art in here. It's all like that. That type of art, that type of situation, like doing cool stuff, like all the cool stuff you want to be able to do in a Spelljammer game. I'm attempting to present them through the language of this book. I'm going to do this. That's my 20-minute timer. I keep a 20-minute roller. It's 7:30 now, so I've got another 20 minutes left. So I feel like my seat's falling. Anyway, I'm going to do this. Let's make that stand out. And then I'm going to round that off a little bit like that. I've done about 120 different Bob Ross paintings in Photoshop, like this thing, just like this, like doing like the actual work of scratching it out. So when I'm working on the Reclamant book cover tomorrow, you'll see how I use the Bob Ross method of painting on a digital canvas with digital paintbrushes to create happy little trees and stuff, because that's what we're doing. We're building happy little, potentially lethal little trees that will rise up and attack mankind for its sins against nature during the Industrial Revolution. That's what the Reclamant RPG is about, that I'm doing the book cover for. So I love the premise, but I need to flesh this out so it has the same bone structure over here as it does over there. Like that. Does that pop out of it? You gotta be careful here not to kill the energy. High risk situation here. Nice. Satisfaction guaranteed. I aspire for this to become my full-time job so I can do this for 4 to 8 hours at a time, depending on whatever I got going on. And God's willing, I'll be able to get there. Get some good Kickstarters going in 2025 to hopefully generate enough income to last me half a year, so I can crack out a book and then do another Kickstarter, and hopefully that'll also succeed, and spend another half year on that. So live 6 months at a time until I build up enough of a war chest for me to be able to project out a year in advance, and then start hiring people to help me expedite book production, instead of just having an editor, like have a writing crew, and start really building out stuff, like really build out stuff. We'll see. It's a cool dream, but I don't know if that's what is actually going to happen. It's not like hard work is going to make it happen. If it's in the fates, it's going to be effortless and a joy to have it just come into fruition, and I'll just intuitively and instinctively take the right steps needed for that to happen. If that is a fate that heaven holds for me. And if it doesn't, I have a day job I am good at and proud of, that takes care of my family well, that I can theoretically do forever. I just think I I'll have more joy and an opportunity to take care of my family better if I start doing RPG stuff full time, and that's looking pretty damn good. Considering the scale, I mean, like, you're probably going to be reading like at this level of zoom, so that face is looking pretty damn good at that scale. Good enough that I think I can be content with it for now, and move on to let's merge that down and keep moving forward down the body. And instead of moving forward, let's move down. How about that? I'm getting an almost Lobo vibe off of this guy. Oh my god. What if I tatted this guy out like Lobo, make him the main man? How sick would that be? If you don't know Lobo, that is a great DC comic. It's kind of like the answer to Deadpool. But it's in a very space pirate sort of motif. Very fourth wall breaking. He's unkillable. Incredibly violent with guns, snarky, mercenary work. He's done things like he was contracted by the Easter Bunny to kill Santa Claus, who ended up being this. He enslaved the elves to produce toys for him. So he's a bad guy. That's worth killing, and Contract on God was a great campaign where he got kicked out of heaven, so he can't die because heaven won't take him, and when he went to hell, he took it over, so they kicked him out of there too. So he's stuck in the real world, not allowed to die, and he just absolutely abuses that fact. And he flies around on a space chopper. His best friends are space dolphins. It's pretty great. Lobo is It's a freaking great. It's a funny comic. It is a very 90s vibe. Very, very fun comic. Highly recommend. He showed up in the animated Superman once and just wasn't. He wasn't given. The voice was okay, but he just wasn't given his due. But I'm too much of a. I'm way too much of a main man fanboy to be able to really speak with any perspective, like any kind of objective perspective about the situation. Blurble fat. Down. I feel like we're about to run out of time, which is okay. I'm okay with it. Dude looks fine. Stop messing with his teeth. Just get back to work. Build out. We can build out his musculature, and then we can paint his chops over it. Chops are like way not the most important part. There we go. Perfect. We'll get to the chops. Yeah, this is all going to turn out just like super freaking nice. There's that. There's that. Don't need that. Ooh. All right, we can safely move to be determined. I think we can get rid of the TBD at this point. That looks good. Work in progress. We'll get there. Meanwhile, bam. I don't know if I'm going to finish this one over the weekend. I might leave this one till Monday. I mean, we've been working on this one. I may as well just finish this one up so you guys have that, you know, cathartic sense of completion with me. There's plenty of other stuff that I can work on. I don't work on Sunday. That's family time. But I have most of Saturday that I can work. After we're done with Reclamant, I'd stay offline to be available, but I'm officially working. So if I'm lucky, I'll get 2 or 3 pieces done on Saturday. Say that now. The fire dragon piece, the smoke, the thing I showed, the other one I showed you, that one should be done on Saturday, and I'll publish it when it is. Like I said, on either on both Twitter as well as Discord. I should probably start publishing stuff on my Facebook. I don't use Facebook at all. There's a lot more I could be doing. You know, from a business perspective. I'm so resistant to it because it's business, and I hate the idea of other than just like casual freelance stuff. Making a business out of art is something I'm paranoid about. I don't want to kill the muse like at all. We're at 750, so I got about. Technically, I have to log out of here and then log into my day job, working remotely, in the next 10 minutes. So I think I'm going to round this out here. Well, the time was worth it. I am thoroughly in love with this piece. So that's what causes my projects to take so long. And but you can see in all the other works that I have down in the descriptions down below, you can thumb through the 150 some odd illustrations that are amongst those books that I published to see probably varying degrees of where I committed to quality versus expedience. There's a little bit of variety in the type of work that's in there. So you can thumb through them all. If you're a 5e enthusiast, certainly take your time, check it out. I am just about hit my limit here. The rule is, I think it was I don't remember if it was Van Gogh or Dolly, but the expression was "stop when you're excited." It may have been Michelangelo, but it was some famous artist. Yep. So we're gonna stop there for now. We're gonna check out. We'll be back tomorrow morning in about 25 hours. 25 and a half hours. We'll be back doing Reclement book cover. We'll finish that up. We'll finish this up on Monday. I'll finish some other pieces off stage on Saturday, and I'll have some stuff to show you guys after the weekend. If you think this stuff is cool, you are most welcome to tag along, like and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and I'll be here 6 days a week for the foreseeable future, for as long as God lets me. Check out my work in the DMsGuild, link down below. If you want to throw me a tip or keep an eye on what I have going on in general, you can follow me on Patreon at Phil Kearney. Twitter, I'm live on Twitter and occasionally post artwork there at Phil Kearney. And if you know where I lurk on Discords, be welcome to shout out and say hey. So I'm going to see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot for showing up and hanging out. Fluffy Plays, man, nice to meet you. Glad you swung by. And honestly, great to see you as always. Anyone else that's lurking, thanks for being here. I will see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot. Where's the button? There it is.